So hey, welcome back. It's been a while since I've put together a video, done a new one. Been busy. Thank you for all the kind comments out there from people that have been watching some of the other videos I had. I do truly appreciate it. I try to read all the video comments, and I appreciate the kind words and the fact that you're watching. You know, after putting all this together, everybody hopes somebody pays attention. So, not so much a review today. I'll do a little bit of one, kind of a mini beginning review. Like everybody, after the tobacco apocalypse that recently befell us all, the scourge that is STG screwing everybody. I'm sorry, but there's just no other way to put it. We're all trying to figure out, okay, so what next? You know, the few blends, the very few blends that remain, they're already starting to see bits and pieces of people saying, they feel like they're different. And I don't know what the vinegar scourge is that STG is kind of becoming well known for, but a lot of their over-the-counter things, everybody's talking about, gosh, they just seem to have this like vinegar flavor to them. But, you know, I don't want to make this all about STG, so I'll let me say my piece. I'll try to be brief, and then I'll move on. I don't believe in doing boycotts and things like that. I don't know that they'll really be effective unless you can really get a significant portion of the market involved in it. The company already knows it's torquing a bunch of people off. It's basically extending a metaphorical middle finger at all of us and telling us all to go pound sand. They know that they're screwing you. This isn't a company that's run because they love pipe tobacco or they love the ritual and everything that goes with it. Pipe tobacco, I'm going to guess, is probably a relatively small portfolio in the large number of businesses that they own and take care of. This is all run by MBAs. This is all about money. It doesn't matter that you're a hobbyist who's really passionate about a certain blend. They don't give a damn. They just want to make money. They would make anything. God knows they'd make toothpicks if that made them as much money as selling tobacco. But for whatever reason, they've gotten into the business of selling tobacco. So they have no passion about it. They don't care about it. The only thing they care about is trying not to make the product so terrible that everybody gives up on it. But they want to make it terrible enough that they can make more money. They have already planned this out. I can tell you that nobody buys another business just to shut it down in order to concentrate your market share without a plan for return on investment. ROI, it's a common phrase in business. They already have a plan for how they can create better efficiencies. If it follows the normal STG plan, they already know how they're going to make the tobacco crappier. They're going to use less quality in terms of the cuts of tobacco, the components that are put in it. They're going to make it in distant countries where they, pay next to nothing for labor. All of those things are going to be there. They're going to charge you more for a crappier product in order to make up for all the money they spent to buy McBaron and Lane and Sutliff and basically shut most of it down. So it just is what it is. I'm not trying to create an internet meme or get everybody all wound up. We've all had time to adjust and absorb this. But I personally, and I don't buy that much tobacco, so I don't make a difference at all. But I kind of am going to spend the rest of my life with the mindset of, unless something changes dramatically, anything but STG. You can't escape it entirely because they own almost everything. So you try a blend and you don't like it, you'll try something else. Guess what? They own that too. One of the companies I'm going to point out in a minute here that I've turned over to more of their tobacco. My understanding is they buy some of their components from STG. it's going to be impossible to completely avoid them. So what are you going to do? Well, maybe not impossible, but difficult. And so what do you do? Well, personally, that's part of where I'm going with today. I'm starting to take my time to look at other tobaccos, and that's why I haven't done anything as far as a review or whatnot before this, because I wanted to get a little bit of a chance to try a few things and smoke it a little bit and figure out, okay, what do I think of this? What do I really think of something? What I really think is I can't get my pipe lit this morning. I'm yakking too much, and I usually start the bowl and smoke a bit of it before I start the video, but I haven't this morning, so I apologize. You're going to have to watch me lighting the pipe a fair bit. And that's okay. So if you're one of the other companies out in the universe of tobacco, this is a golden opportunity if you can get your foot in the door. And in the United States market, that pretty much, unfortunately, is starting to mean, I say unfortunate because that means smoking pipes. You got to get on smokingpipes.com. I 10 years ago thought smokingpipes.com was a godsend. I loved the little community that was surrounding it. I still do. But as you can probably hear from the tone of my voice, at times I think smoking pipes they're becoming a little too, I don't know, as my father would say, a little too big for their britches. It feels like a lot of the pipes that are for sale, the new ones, aren't the best they have to offer anymore. And I get the problem. I have a good friend of mine who owns a brick and mortar tobacco shop, pipes and cigars. And he's shown me, and you can go and look at it too, the Laudisi website, not smokingpipes.com, Laudisi. And it's the professional website for businesses that purchase from them. What you'll find, what I've found, after my friend Peter had pointed it out, was that you're going to find actually a lot of times, I'm a big fan of Savinelli. Smoking today, a 677. Just look at that grain. It's a Punta Oro that I got a year and a half or so ago before Savinelli, lost their mind. Like their pricing is going right now for some of their lines. And they're just insane. The prices, everybody knows that there's been inflation and there's been some tariffs, but egad, they've virtually doubled their prices for things like a Punta Oro. This is a beautiful pipe. It smokes great. It's like a Savinelli. I love Savs. But, I think they're trying, the newest son must be trying to say, well, I want to make us like White Spot and Dunhill, and I don't know, maybe they'll get there. Their pipes are really well made, but egad, that's quite a shock. But anyway, you'll go on to Laudisi, and even the pipes that they have that are Punta Oros, meh grain. Maybe they have no flaws. Maybe they're drilled perfectly. Maybe they would smoke like a dream. I get it. But not at that price. Not when they don't look like a dream. If I'm paying $400+ for a relatively simple pipe, it had better look pretty darn awesome. And quite frankly, a lot of the pipes on smokingpipes.com, in my opinion, for example, with the Savinelli range, which is generally what I find myself doing. So I'm not going to claim expertise, but if anything I look at, that's what it is. Pipes aren't anywhere near as good as they were 5 years ago. But you go onto the Laudisi site, and they have pipes that have better grain. I think what they're doing is they're taking some of their better pipes. They're setting them aside for their brick and mortar customers. And again, I get the pull. You're there to try and support the brick and mortar shops. I want to as well. So emotionally, I can see why you might do it, but also on a certain level, from my own point of view, is I still want to be able to get to look at the highest quality, best pipes you have to offer. Because if you sell it to a brick and mortar, it's good for them that they're going to have high quality product. But if they're located on the other side of the country, I am never going to get a chance to buy that pipe. So the whole point of having an internet business, to me, what it felt like with smoking pipes was you were able to get to anything. You were able to get to the best quality stuff. But not feeling quite the same way anymore, at any rate. But if you're one of the other tobacco companies, and I got two that I think have gotten their foot in the door and are at a point where they have a real opportunity here. Will they take it? I don't know. The first one is Gawith and Hogarth. Everybody has known them. And personally myself, the one that I really find myself drawn to is American Delight. Some people call it like their version of Lane 1Q. To some degree, I guess I can see that. It's kind of a sweet, it's a lovely, lovely aromatic. Mind you, I smoke aromatics, and I love aromatics. I loved MacBaron aromatics, and what I loved about them was they were high quality. They weren't made with cheesy tobacco that was all gooped up or whatnot to hide it. It was good tobacco, and then it was heavily topped, but I loved them. This one's a nice tobacco. You know, I'll have to do a review on that at some point. Another one here that I like. Another company is Kollhaus and Kopp, although I guess now, you know, it's funny. This one says just Kopp. This week, I don't know, they must have had somebody got their knickers in a twist and had a falling out. So now they're only Kopp, I believe. And this one says just Kopp. This one's part of the Caribbean Blue one. It's called Drake. And this one has, I'm reading the thing on the back, pineapple, banana, Madagascar vanilla, Danish aromatic. This is pretty good. Again, sweet, heavily topped, true Danish aromatic or German kind of aromatic, really. Kollhaus used to make, or Kopp used to make, it'll take me a while to get used to that. Kopp used to make a lot of the ones for Vaughn. And they used to have one that was, I think it was called number 7. It was crunchy nut, and then it was something other nut. And it was a lovely aromatic. Sweet, and had fruit on it. And it had this interesting fruit that was called a Mirabelle plum, I think it was. And there's another one that, now this one of course still had the Kollhaus and Kopp, but it's now Kopp. This one's called Rackham. The other one was Drake. Rackham has mango, passion fruit, strawberry, Mirabelle plum, and cherry. This is a really nice blend. I'm really finding myself digging this right now. That's what I'm smoking today. And one of the things I like about it, I'll try to let you see a little bit of it here. The American Delight from Gawith has a couple different types of tobacco in it, but they're all that sort of Midland brown, maybe a little bit, there's a little bit of like a Cavendish as I recall. But there isn't really a lot of bright, either Burleys or bright Virginias or whatnot. And so it doesn't seem to have the same variety. This stuff, if I can get this up here to let you see it, is very much, and I mean this as high praise, this is a MacBaron-ish tobacco. There are at least what looks to be 3 or 4 different types of tobacco in that. There's obviously like a bright Burley, bright Virginia. There's a Cavendish in there. Um, there's some Burleys that are regular and regular Midland Virginias that are in there. And so there's some variety of the tobacco in a very good way, and it's a good. It seems like it's made out of good tobacco. My experience has been very positive so far. Again, I'll call it Mac Baren-ish, and I mean that in the best, highest of praise. The note is fruity. It is sweet. The room note is heavenly. I get nothing but compliments on this. This one is really one of the. I brought this. I smoked this one day to the shop of my friend Peter, and and he immediately was smelling. He's like, "Oh wow, what is that?" And I told him what it was, and he didn't have it. Of course, he's running into the same thing. He's like, "What do I buy now to put on the shelf?" And he went and bought some right off. So he now has it because he thought it smelled so good. Every time someone walks in, if I'm there smoking, they're all like, "Whoa, that smells fantastic." He mostly does cigar smokers, which is probably the way for most tobacco shops. And they all loved it. Light's easy, came out of the tin, wasn't particularly wet, wasn't particularly dry. Very much a full aromatic, in my sort of wacky way of defining that, in that you don't really smell much of the tobacco. A little bit in the background if you stuff your nose into the tin or into a jar and take a few breaths, let your sense of smell acclimate to what's there, but mostly what you're smelling is the fruity, sweet toppings. There's sort of a brown sugar, maybe molasses type thing in the background, but it's mostly just the different mixed fruits. It's lovely. It's lovely. It will bite, of course, like anything, because it has that much sweetness on it. If you're doing more than just, which I tried to do, a sort of breathing technique rather than puffing so much, you won't have any trouble biting it. If you're with it biting, if you're used to doing, a full aromatic, this smokes well. Uh, Lovely, lovely flavor. Room note, like I said, fantastic. I'm already, after just 2 or 3 tins of this, completely recommend it if you like sweet aromatics. If you're looking for something to replace some of the Mac Baren ones, high quality tobacco doesn't seem to have much in the way of humectant on it, if it has anything at all. Smokes really well, smells wonderful, tastes great. Yep. Checks all the boxes. And it's not STG. Well, not directly. Like I said, I've heard that they supposedly use some of their components. But I think that's what we're going to have to do as a smoking world. I don't know. We're going to have to start to, don't get all upset about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Decisions were made a long ways away. Nobody cares what we think. So I'm going to try and do some new reviews. I'm probably going to eventually take down the ones, I don't even know what I have up. I take down and put up some of the different videos. I'm going to probably take down the Mac Baren ones, because why bother? You can't get them anymore. Some of my esoteric things that I've tried over the years, the leaf less traveled. Maybe that'll be what some of these are. Eventually, although I've heard a number of people already talk about the American Delight. I can see why. That's also something you should try. Gowarth and Hogarth, obviously, unfortunately, they're a really small group tobacco maker. They don't seem to use STG components, as far as I can tell. and they don't make a lot. My understanding is they're trying to increase their production, and God bless them. But a small company like that, same with Kopp, you know, even if just a small percentage of us decide to say, you know what, we're going to go and only buy from these companies that aren't connected to STG. Are we going to change STG's mind? Not at all. And I said I wasn't going to make this all about STG, and of course I am. I do apologize for that. Bear with me. I won't in the future. I'm still bitter about it too. My Mac Baron stuff. Spend years finding the blends that you really like, coming to terms with them, and then they're gone. But if a small percentage of us make the choice to say, we're going to buy from some of these smaller brands. Am I going to mad at STG? No, I'm not. Am I going to mad at Hogarth and Gowith and Hogarth? I trip over that name all the time. Yeah, we will matter. They're already, anytime they have a drop of their tobacco on smoking pipes, it's gone within a day or two. I want to try their peach. Haven't been able to get it. And I want to try their Bob's chocolate. I think it's chocolate flake. That has a lot of people talking about it. Their twists and their ropes and some of those are, I guess, have always had strong following. But all is not ending, my friends. Have faith. It will get better. It will. And some of these smaller companies, we're going to help them out a lot, because we're going to support the companies and the people that support us. And in the end, that's all you can do. This is a bit of a niche hobby group anyway, so this won't take a lot of change in our purchasing habits to help some of these smaller companies and really make a difference for them. I encourage you to do that. I will miss my McBarons, like everybody. I bought a whole bunch of it, although I find it hysterical at this point. I laugh because you look at smoking pipes and they send me these like nudges in the email to say, hey, some of the blends you used to like, they're still available. And the impression I get is everybody kind of went bang and bought everything they could. And at this point, all kinds of people, myself included, have just said, you know what? I'm moving on. Forget it. I hope they choke on it. Take the time. Find the companies that support you. And it'll get better. It'll get better. I'm going to try and do a full review of these two Call House and Kopp, or just Kopp ones. God bless. I'll do that a million more times, won't I? And the American Delight. But I really recommend you go and get yourself some Rackham. Try it. If you like a sweet aromatic, this is really sweet in a good way, in a really good way. And the tobacco on this is really high quality. And get yourself some American Delight. Also, this one's a little bit tough to get a hold of on occasion. The tobacco on the American Delight isn't bad, but I don't think is quite as diverse as the Kopp stuff. So that will be a forthcoming review at some point too. Thank you again for everybody for watching. If you have any comments or critiques or whatnot, throw them in the comments. I'll try to get back to you and say hello. I try to read everything, and thank you for participating and giving me a heads up or just saying hello. Heads up or a shout out to my friend Aussie Bulldog Kevin. How you doing, brother? I hope everything's good. If you haven't seen his channel, Aussie Bulldog channel, he makes pipes and does word turning, and he's a good guy. Kevin's funny. You'll like his stuff. And I'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.